Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Oh, this is Diana. Thank you so much for being here. Today I want to go over my movie review journal with all of you. After watching each movie, I usually print out a picture of the poster and I write what date I saw it and my rating besides it. And if I watched it more than one times after I first rated it, I will write the subsequent dates here. Okay, so here is my rating system in a nutshell. And X literally means the worst movie ever made. Okay, so I have to say that this rating system is very biased and is completely subjective. So please don't feel offended if I rate your favorite movie rather low. And also, I should preface this by saying that I'm not really a musical person, so I would naturally rate musicals lower than non musicals. And I'm also very picky when it comes to movies. Okay, so let's get this started. Half star is really, really bad, 1 is bad, 1.5 is kind of bad, 2 is meh, okay, but personally I didn't like it. 2.5 out of 5 is okay, decent. That's a solid 50%. 3 stars is better than okay in my opinion, but not that good. 3.5 stars is good. 4 stars, really good. And 4.5 stars is wow, that was good. So this one has a wow factor in it. And 5 stars is literally the best movie ever and my personal favorite. Okay, so we're starting off strong. This one is my personal favorite. It's probably not my all-time favorite, but it is my favorite of 2025. So what I said was my favorite film of 2025, and I watched it 3 times. It's been a while that I watched something that I liked this much to watch it twice in theater. Actually, 3 times. I watched it again after I wrote this review. I'm still not tired of it. If it releases in Canada, I won't mind watching it again, and I did. I like this one better than the first movie because this one is a blend of classical Chinese storytelling and Hollywood blockbuster formula. The creators didn't treat us, the audience, as if we are stupid and explain every single plot point. The characters felt like real people. Fantastic. The pacing, dialogue, shots, everything felt so spot on. Makes you happy watching it. It's also a real anti-war movie, not an anti-losing movie. Characters work so hard to stop wars rather than them sulking after losing a war. Makes me think of Howl's Moving Castle and Porco Rosso. It does have this Miyazaki vibe. It doesn't show war on screen, but it shows how war has affected characters. Watching this twice had me thinking, if I were to make a movie, I want this to be my inspiration. I heard people describe this movie as a crowd focused rather than a main character focused. I don't know if I can agree. Creating good background characters is part of making a good film, but I am having trouble deciding who the main character is in this movie. The next one is also a Chinese film because I was in China over the summer and I rate this one 2.5 stars because I feel kind of torn about how I feel. I was very disappointed after watching this. I thought it would be better, but on the other hand, I did laugh out loud a few times and thought it was moderately funny. What I really hated was the characters, Pig and Frog. Especially Frog, he is too negative, and both of them were so mean to the poor, shy gorilla. I hated that the creators made this scene where the gorilla was being bullied due to his stutter a joke. I was thoroughly disappointed by the poor taste. Oh wow, okay, so I think I was much more critical about this movie before than I am about it now. And the third one, it was a historical Chinese satire kind of. And this movie made me feel really uncomfortable because how realistic it is. Powerful people can get away with anything while honest and poor folks become their means of achieving their goals. Those at the top of the pyramid have everything and can get anything they want by simply demanding for it. I'm not sure if I enjoyed watching this. It's satirical, it's an allegory of the Chinese society. I doubt it will do anything other than making people feel really uncomfortable. Too explainy, actors were kinda awkward, but otherwise a decent film. My least favorite movie of the year, Minecraft. I actually had very high hopes for it, for some reason. Maybe because I like Kung Fu Panda and Jack Black was the voice actor of Kung Fu Panda, but it was very horrible. Okay, let me read my review. What else can I say other than it's really bad? The trailer was okay, which is why I wanted to watch it when it came out. Now I'm just so happy that I didn't spend a cent on it because I watched it on the plane. It doesn't deserve my hard earned money. The plot was okay. The characters were beyond annoying. The main character Jack Black portrayed, I can't even remember his name, was too, how do I say this in a nice way? Dumb. The garbage man was plainly annoying and stupid. The other characters were forgettable. The villain was pathetic. I think my review still stands. Napoleon, 2 stars. Watched this on a plane. It was okay, but I didn't like it. I don't really know what it's trying to say, and I didn't enjoy the character Napoleon. His saving grace was how much he loved Josephine. But did he really love her? Or he merely loved the idea of her? He was really mean to her in almost every scene. I felt no love at all. I'm sure Josephine didn't either. His last words were France, Army, Josephine. I didn't see his love for France either. I only saw his love for Conquer. The movie didn't really show the army. Dot dot dot. K-pop Demon Hunters. This was surprisingly good, given how cringe the trailer was. I did not expect to enjoy watching this, but I did. Though I don't think it's that good, according to everyone on social media. The pacing was too fast, the villain too weak. The world building was also pretty weak. There were so many unanswered questions I have at the end. What happens to souls that the demons took? How do demons come into existence? Seemed like Genu was the only ex-human, which is why he deserved to be loved and all other demons should just die. Lol. This movie raised more questions than it was able to answer. Also, the characters are hot. Not your regular design that focuses on irregularities, but Jack Frost level hot. I mean, it's about K-pop, so and what's the deal with the honeymoon? It seems to exist because the movie needs a ticking clock, nothing more. If the honeymoon is achieved, there's no use for hunters anymore. What happens to demons under the honeymoon? Again, I had so many questions after watching that movie, but I did enjoy it, and the songs were pretty good. Elio. Okay, I watched these pretty much back to back. So let's see. If K-pop is overrated, Elio is underrated. Both are at the same level though. Unlike other Pixar movies, Elio's second act is stronger than the first and the third. The characters feel too one-dimensional, and Elio is just like all other little boys' characters. The theme is really vague. What is this movie trying to say? The communiverse is useless. What's the purpose of its existence? Why is it there in the first place? Why was this movie made in the first place? Okay, I'm pretty critical about this movie, so I was about K-pop. But looking back, I think I remember more about K-pop than Elio. That's why I think that I'm probably gonna take away half star for Elio. But I don't know, I still haven't figured out a system. If I were to rewatch a movie again, where should I rate it? And What's Up Doc? Okay, this one was a very good one. Finally watched Lisa's recommendation, Overdue. I've seen clips of this movie before, the chasing to be more specific, as class examples. So it was nice to finally put a story and a name to the random clips. In terms of enjoyment, 5 out of 5. Story, 3 out of 5. I guess. The main character is kind of passive. Stuff happen to him and he reacts, which is still hilarious and completely okay. If Judy isn't so aggressively weird. I guess everything works out at the end, so it's okay. Also, I don't like the romantic touch at the end. When and why did he fall in love with her? And why is Eunice with a rich professor guy? Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Just a funny, absurd, fun movie. What I loved, the subtle humor. A random good old jolly man driving his car into the river. Lol. Okay, Path of Glory. I don't even remember why this has always been on my list, but I finally managed to watch it. I don't think I saw many Kubrick films. 2001: A Space Odyssey is one, and this is the other. People praise 2001, but I prefer this one. Much more enjoyable and consistent. The beginning is a bit boring. I was so confused what was going on. They speak so fast. The first act honestly didn't really get my attention. The actors look kinda alike and they are introduced randomly throughout. I mean, I'm sure Kubrick strategically blocked the characters and let them interact with each other, but I didn't catch it on my first watch. It was from the second act that I finally started to care about these characters. The ending is brutal though. No twist. Just plain strategy. What? I don't understand. How these soldiers treat the girl made me sick. Bad Guys 2, wow, that was good. My expectations for sequels and prequels are never too high. Again, this surpassed my expectations by a mile. I was expecting a bland story that undoes everything, character arcs and such, of the first movie and tell the same story again. But no, everything that happens in this movie is built on top of the previous one. What? And the ending is a lot better than the three-layered plot twist of the first movie. I'm so happy that I watched a good movie. I mean, there are moments that make me feel awkward, like when Kitty starts to laugh when her offer is turned down and everyone laughs. But there are so many sweet moments too, like when Wolf tries to save Diane's secret and everyone supports him. So sweet. Aw. Love letter. Not gonna lie, I was both confused and bored at the beginning of the movie, especially because the two main characters are played by the same person with the same hairstyle. I had to stop and Google a synopsis slash movie review to convince myself to keep watching. But by the time when the two characters almost meet, I am fully invested. It's super interesting how the main narrative shifted from one girl to another, but all about this one man. Very interesting approach to storytelling. I love two sequences. The one is where the other main character, the second girl, is at the hospital, her dad passing, her high school memories, and the present day all mingle together into this beautiful cinematic experience. Another is where both of them are at the library, the curtain blowing. That shot was so anime and was so beautiful. She likes him, she just doesn't know it yet. Okay, Monster. Unlike a lot of Japanese movies I've seen, which isn't a lot to be honest, this one has a super clear narrative, and I was hooked pretty early on. I was really invested by the time when the teacher started sharing the story from his perspective. However, I started to feel confused towards the end of Act Two. In other words, the teacher's narrative, because there still wasn't a clear culprit. I suspected the principal, but it wasn't her. The culprit was misconception, prejudice, judgment bias, and miscommunication and fear. A Rashomon story happening all over again. Unlike Rashomon, where we don't really know who's telling the truth, we know that everyone is telling the truth, which is what makes it tragic and sad. From reviews online, I'm inclined to believe the boys are dead, which is sad, but you can read it in your way, I guess. Okay, artificial intelligence. I already knew what the story was about before watching it for the first time because I watched a recap. I feel like recap video was more enjoyable to watch than the movie itself. I don't know if it's because it's an older movie or because my attention span is so short that I actually found it extremely boring at times. However, there are two things that I noticed in the movie that are rather interesting. First, David only really shows his emotion twice in the movie, other than that he remained a "oh" face throughout. It's a very interesting choice because one, he's a robot and is experiencing the world for the first time, so he's only taking in information rather than reacting. Two, this choice makes his two emotional outbursts more compelling. Second, although Spielberg made this movie seem to be about AI and robots, I believe he's actually praising humanity. Quote, Blue Fairy is part of the great human flaw, to wish for things that don't exist, or to the greatest single human gift, the ability to chase down our dreams. Quote, human beings have created a million explanations of the meaning of life in art, poetry, in mathematical formulas. Certainly, human beings must be the key to the meaning of existence. Freaky Friday. What a fun movie to watch. The initial reaction from Lily right after the body switch was hilarious, and the ending was super sweet. I love a good old mother-daughter relationship, and the men of family just merged into the background. The guy from the first movie is just there, present when he is needed and gone when he is not. By the way, the Eric actor is kinda hot. Hehehe. The story is super similar to the last one, but somehow I enjoyed this one a bit more than the last. Maybe it's the magic of the big screen. It's definitely more chaotic this time, and I can see Anna and Harper arc super clearly. The Lily and Eric one is there, just not as pronounced. I wish there more Lily and Harper stories and how they actually like each other. I don't see the Tess and Anna line at all, unfortunately. I kind of see what they started with, but not how they evolved. I mean, there are just so much going on. Okay, I wrote all the character names, but I forgot who the characters were. Not very helpful. In the Mood for Love. Okay, I know why some people like this movie, maybe even why some people like Wong Kar-wai, but I didn't enjoy this at all. Again, it's my attention span's fault. If I sat in a theater, I would at least have watched the thing in its entirety, without scrolling on my phone, that is. I would have been confused, but I would have finished it. I think the biggest problem I have is that there's no indication for how much time has passed from scene to scene. Sometimes a shot happens right after the previous one, sometimes the shot seems to indicate 10 days later. Because Wong Kar-wai is so held back with the information he gives in dialogue, I often felt super lost and confused. He hides a ton of info in mise-en-scène too. I mean, it's good that he's not babying us, the audience, and spoon feeding the information, but as an audience, I need quite a few rewatches to understand the details. Also, what's with the slow motion parts and that annoying music? Before Sunrise. This is a movie that ignores all movie rules and restrictions. There's almost zero conflict from the outside world. The only thing between them is that they're from different continents. The acting is so natural that I would be convinced if you told me this is a documentary. The character building is magnificent. All information is told through dialogue and acting, and you can get, or rather understand, so much about the characters from hearing them speak. I love how they are physically closer and closer towards each other as the movie progresses. Also, I love the scene inside the record store where if one is looking at the other always looks away while trying not to look back. Also love the fake phone call scene where each character is using third-person pronouns but looking directly at each other. Eye contact can tell stories! Exclamation mark. If there's any kind of magic in this world, it must be in the attempt of understanding someone, sharing something. I know it's almost impossible to succeed, but who cares really? The answer must be in the attempt. That was a quote, and that, I believe, is the theme of the movie. Beautiful. Star Wars, the original one, the one that everyone praises about. So I finally watched the Star Wars movie in its entirety, without, or at least with minimum distraction. The story is super simple and enjoyable. I can see why this movie inspired so many others, and I can also see why people grew up with it, loved it so much. But I have to say that it still has its faults. The runtime is 2 hours, but honestly, it can be condensed into 1.5 easily. A lot of screen time was wasted on shoe leather. I like 3CPO and R2D2, but I wish the movie focused more on Luke. Also, it feels super formulaic. Ben dies because the hero's journey template calls for the death of the mentor. The story is pretty cohesive though. Their course of action makes perfect sense. One event is the cause of the next. The plot is very tightly knit. I guess it deserves more credit to it than what I'm giving, for sure. Like I said, I'm pretty critical and I'm very picky when it comes to movies. And also, I watched Star Wars episode 1 and 2 in its entirety, and I got so tired of it, so I didn't really watch 3 and 4 and 5. So, this is my second attempt in the Star Wars franchise, and I think I like it more than I believe. Gabby's Dollhouse movie. It is exactly how I remembered it. They didn't change much from the second and the last screening that I saw back in June. Okay, so info dump. I worked on this movie and I saw the first and second screening. So I know what the story looked like from the beginning, and now I'm kind of comparing it to the end product. The climax, the bridge part, was changed, and for the better. Gabby gave Vera the magic of the stars in her room instead of nothing at all. And I would like to believe that is me and my lazy river sequence that gave them the idea. That's a very bold claim. The faults remain. The front and the back feel like two separate movies. Gabby's insecurity about growing up isn't established at the beginning, and the actress does not look like a kid anymore by any means. It feels awkward to watch a teen playing with a dollhouse on screen. Maybe Ben was right. They should have kept it silly, funny and simple, like the front half of the movie. Zootopia 2. Okay, not gonna lie, I was very disappointed by this. Zootopia 1 deserves at least 4.5 stars. It was such a well-made movie with an excellent story. Zootopia 2 is mediocre at best. Lisa and I got obsessed on the theme of it. Actually, Lisa was obsessed, and she got me obsessed too. Nick and Judy's relationship is well played. Everything else was a mess. The plot was weak and cliche. The characters were awkward except the beaver. Theme, if there even is one, is extremely unclear and poorly argued. Seriously, what is the theme? Everyone should work together and contribute a small part, although it looks like it won't change anything, because it will. Snakes are good. Lisa described it as a democracy propaganda, Miyazaki level of world building, Hollywood level of execution. I thought it was a fanfiction of Nick and Judy for 90 minutes straight. I liked that part, but the story was unrealistic, and it lacked essence. And Disney is too afraid to really define their relationship. Romantic or platonic? The answer is nothing. Oh, and also, the sheep mayor in the first one was mayor for like, what, a week? Easily overthrown. That I can understand. Link's family established Zootopia for 100 years. It made no sense. Again, I apologize to people who like the movie, and just keep in mind that I'm just one person, and what do I know? Dead Poets Society. This was an interesting experience, for I agree with the antithesis of the movie. I do agree with the teacher who said, "Show me the heart unfiltered by foolish dreams, and I will show you a happy man." A lot of the times, I wish I didn't get a taste of what my life would have been if I achieved my dream. And most of the time, I wish I don't have a dream at all. Life would be so much easier, simpler, if I had no original thought and listened to whatever my parents wanted me. Which is why I feel bad for Neil. He tasted his dream, but is smashed by reality. If he never had the courage Mr. Keaton inspired to pursue his dream, he wouldn't end up in a grave. Lisa, on the other hand, said there is a choice involved. If someone didn't have a dream, they would be unauthentic to themselves because they never made the conscious choice. Neil chose death, and I chose to listen to my parents. We're both true to ourselves. I'm very stubborn, for I believe that everything is still possible to those that are still alive. Okay, this isn't really a review, but a reflection, probably, because I was really shocked by my stance for this movie. If you watch the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, I encourage you to watch it for yourself. And don't listen to me, because I'm the villain. I'm the evil force of this movie. Okay, Wicked for good. Okay, I think I'm rating this as a whole story, not just a single movie. So I gave it 2.5 out of 5 for Wicked and Wicked for Good. The biggest bug slash moment that broke the suspension of disbelief for me is when the Prince Ferrero, oh, his name reminds me of Ferrero Rocher. Okay, is when the Prince Ferrero sacrificed himself so Elphaba can escape. I mean, she can fly. Why can't both of them leave at the same time? The first two-thirds of the movie has too much fluff. The same thing can be said for the first movie too. And the ending was way too easy. The professor, Madame Morrible, was magical. Glinda was not. How come Glinda overpowered her? Glinda and Elphaba sang about being changed, but did Elphaba change in second movie at all? She fought for the same thing throughout the movie. Glinda did change from a just pretty girl who's capable of doing nothing to someone taking charge of her own life, and I understand the catalyst for that change. But her victory came too easy. It's not convincing at all. Dorothy made a cameo though. It was fun. Avatar, the Fire and Ash, I think. Okay, very repetitive and forgettable, but that's not to say I didn't enjoy the movie or it's a bad movie. On the contrary, I really liked it and it kept me engaged enough for me to sit through 3.5 hours without peeing. However, it's very event based and everything feels rather rushed. After it ended, I already forgot what happened at the beginning. I teared up a few times, but can't remember for what. Also, the third act kept me thinking how good the first one was, and also how good How to Train Your Dragon was. I did enjoy it more than Way of Water though, contrary to popular opinion. I wish they explored Spider more. I don't enjoy his character as much as the others. He's too human and too much like a regular teen. His backstory is so rich and powerful, but it's kind of treated as an afterthought. Jake's story is pretty much done. What if they made Spider the main character? Also, isn't Kiri Awa? What's her deal? I'm confused. So, if Kiri does become Awa in the fourth movie, come back to this video and say that I'm right. We'll see in a year or two. Okay, Home Alone. I really enjoy the movie. It's a movie that won't be taken seriously, and the people involved knew it. That's why it's so fun to watch. The audience needs to throw logic and reasoning out of the window, let the disbelief suspend, and just let themselves have a fun time. There are a few moments in there that were kinda deep, surprisingly. The part with the bird lady especially, and I loved the callback with Mr. Duncan from the toy store and the turtle doves. It has brilliant, simply brilliant setups and payoffs. Every seemingly weird joke or minute detail has a use somewhere down the line. Obviously, the crew worked backwards when writing the story, but everything felt like a perfectly fitted jigsaw puzzle. My only criticism might be the severity of the pranks played on the sticky bandits. Normal people would have died, 10 times at least. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. What a great movie. It feels like something from the 80s, yet it's relatively new. I just learned what personal fables are and self-diagnosed with this teenager syndrome. So it's very refreshing and reassuring even to watch a movie about it in a grown man. I also love how Walter's daydreams reduced after he started having real adventures, and that gave him the courage to ask the girl out. Courage leads to more courage, I guess. I also was moved by Sean's line when the snow leopard arrives. When asked by Walter when he's gonna take the picture, Sean replied, "Sometimes I don't. If I like a moment, for me personally, I don't like to have the distraction of the camera. I just want to stay in it, right there, right here." That's the most beautiful personification slash portrayal of stay in the moment. I thought about if our lives are measured by the moments that take our breath away. Watching this film made me realize our lives are indeed measured by the number of breaths we take, and each of these breaths counts if we let it and if we learn to stay in the moment. right there, right here. This was a beautiful movie. Please watch it for yourself if you haven't already. And the last movie that I'm going to talk about today, because that's the last one I watched, is David. I ran out of double sided tape, so that's why I haven't taped the poster here. So I'm just going to keep this here. Okay, I really liked it, surprisingly. I didn't expect much going in, but it was actually not too awkward and really well made. Set design, lighting, animation, texture, cinematography. There were two scenes that I really love: David killing Goliath and the death of Jonathan. I love the way the story played out and a few cool shots. I also really loved how this movie was able to visualize some of the seemingly simple scenes and add so much more character and depth to them. Also, I like how Saul was portrayed. He was sympathetic at the start, and the audience can see how gradually he lost it and still struggled after losing it. There isn't much character development for David, even at times of struggle. He was able to choose the so called right path without much difficulty. He never made a mistake. That's probably for another movie. Major plot points seemed to be solved by Ex Machina, but I guess that's the whole point. And also, I love how God never actually audibly spoke for the entire duration of the movie. Alright, this is it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I still want to reiterate at the end here that these are my opinions, and you're welcome to disagree with me, but please be respectful. And actually, yes, I want to hear your thoughts on any of the movies I talked about. If you hated what I loved, or if you loved what I hated, feel free to share your comments down below, but please use respectful language. Okay, and also please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on my journaling journey. All right, and see you next time. Bye.